Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Rochester Hearing and Speech Center, with a reminder that with warmer weather comes concerts, motorcycles, and yard work, activities that can affect hearing over time. RHSC offers audiology testing and treatment options across all ages. More at rhsc.org.
From WXXI News, this is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. Our connection this hour was made as you are scrolling through social media on your phone. Maybe you're killing time before your next activity. Maybe you're relaxing on your couch. But chances are much of your scrolling is passive behavior. According to the University of Maine, the average person spent about 2 hours and 24 minutes on social media every day of 2025. That's more than 67 hours a month. Here's a question for you. Would you be willing to take just 4 of those 67 hours and do something that could help someone who is feeling lonely? A new campaign called Scroll Less, Connect More asks local community members to do exactly that. The organizers at Compeer Rochester say that taking those 4 hours and spending them talking with a child, an adult, or a veteran experiencing loneliness could help address what some experts say is a loneliness epidemic in this country. This hour, we explore that campaign. We're going to talk with some of the people who are part of it. We're also going to explore what it takes to form more connections and community during this time of feeling so isolated and often divided. I'd like to welcome our guests in studio now. Sara Passamonte is CEO of Compeer Rochester. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you. It's been a few years, I think.
Remind people what Compeer is.
So Compeer is a local nonprofit to Rochester. We are also across the country and in some cases worldwide. If you ever head over to Australia, the UK, this model explores recovery from mental illness through friendship and connection, peer support, people helping people through their challenges.
It's great to have you. Thank you for being back here with
you.
us. Next to Sara is Stefan Hurd, who is a youth and family engagement specialist at Compeer. He's a veteran. Thank you for your service, and it's nice to have you here. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you for having me.
Across the table, let's welcome Adam and Dan. Adam Bellave is a volunteer with Compeer. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And Dan Ofsowitz is a participant in the campaign that we've been talking about, and it's nice to see you, Dan. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's nice to do something worthwhile and hope it benefits another person.
Well, absolutely. Well, let's start with this. The CEO of Compeer Rochester, you guys are part of the reason you're here today is because we've made a lot of the loneliness epidemic. It was the former Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, who declared that we are in an actual loneliness epidemic here. What's your role? What can we do about it?
So as a really 50-year running model, I think we were ahead of our time in seeing what elements of mental health come out and play out into your day-to-day life, why people may not leave their homes, why people may not be able to hold down a job or keep these friendships. And with loneliness sort of being the center of it, the isolation that can come with mental health conditions, our founder knowing that, really 50 years ago in her own recovery, actually from a car accident, and having friends help her just through a physical issue, over these years we've found that the line between somebody who has a mental health challenge and somebody who doesn't is blurring, right? So post-pandemic, we're all kind of going through it. And we just tackle this in a pretty simple way by bringing people together. So we consciously facilitate these matches. And somebody who may be struggling with, like I said, not being able to get out of the house or just wanting somebody to hold their hand through doing that for the first couple times, that's how we play that part. And we've been doing it for so long. So to get that, you don't want to hear that it's an epidemic, but it's somewhat validating to our mission to say that this is a problem and it actually has a potential solution.
How many people do you serve?
So I have to caveat, right? Pre-pandemic, post-pandemic.
Sure.
We were serving upwards of 1,000 individuals between our veterans and our one-to-one programs. Post-pandemic, we're about closer to 500. So that tells you something about, I think, people's capacity these days.
That people aren't lonely anymore.
Well, I wish that was the case.
Unfortunately, it's not the case.
But I think people are spending, like we just talked about, a lot of time doing some of these passive activities that fill the time and make us seem like we're really busy, and maybe we're not as busy as we think we are.
Well, I have to say, the way that you and many others have put that data is kind of tough, because every Sunday we get this notification on our phone, like, this is how much time you spent per day. And it always feels like it's like taunting me or making me feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you're not my mom phone. Don't tell me how long. But then you think about the amount of time that you are actually spending and the choices that you're making. And some of that's just sort of doom scrolling before bed when should be sleeping. But sometimes that's taking time that we could be having coffee with a friend, making a phone call, or as you say, maybe volunteering or getting involved. So tell me how you match people and what you want our audience to understand about what they would actually do if they did this.
Yeah, so the first thing we do is when you inquire about being a volunteer is we ask, about an age preference, because we do serve children. We serve young children, 5, 6 years old through, up through adulthood. And then our adult program serves, people of all ages. So we want to find out, do you want to link up with a child? Do you want to do some activities with the youth? Or do you want to have a peer? Because all of our volunteers are adults. We screen people 18 and over to do this work. But so once we get that down, the second thing is, and the most important thing, are likes and interests, because that, since we're facilitating this and it's sort of an intentional friendship, you've never met this person before, you're going to have your first visit together and you're like, what are we going to do? Well, let's make that a little bit easier and say, well, we know you both like to drink coffee or we know you both like to go for walks, and it can really be that simple. So that's really important. We base on those interests. It would be really nice in some ways to take the person who's been waiting the longest and give them that match when they're available, but that volunteer when they're available. But the effort we put into the matching helps our matches last longer. And that's what we're really here for, is for the long haul.
Okay, well, across the table is one of the matches, right?
We have Adam and Dan here.
All right, so how did you want to tell us a little bit about them and maybe how they ended up together, and we'll talk to them next?
I will speak a little bit to this. So I've been at Compeer for 21 years. When I started at Compeer, I went to one of our holiday parties. I was probably an intern, and Dan was singing Christmas carols at our holiday party. So Dan and Compeer go way back, and probably maybe you might have me beat, right? You want to confirm that?
I've been around Compeer quite a while, and it's just been one of the most rewarding parts of my life to know that there is somebody out there and around who takes their time for someone like me and for a program like Compeer who can do it for others.
And in these let's give you 22 years in case it was right around the time that I started. But I've watched you link up with people through the program, not only as a participant, but as a volunteer as well. So I know that Adam's not your first match through the program.
Right.
Now, Adam, I met, and this is not, it's not my full-time job to recruit volunteers, but it feels like it. So met Adam at Leela's, I think, who is doing our end of our walk party, and what do you do? So I told him about Compeer, and I think it took a couple years, but I always tell people about it, and then I'm like, when you're ready, you're ready. So a lot of people be like, I don't have time for this right now, and then one day I get the inquiry across my desk that Adam's a new volunteer, and oh, by the way, we're matching him with Dan. So that's all kind of full circle for me to actually have something to do with both of you.
So Adam, when was that? When did you start volunteering?
Well, in this past November is actually when I reached out to Compeer to apply to volunteer.
What convinced you to do it?
So like she said, I'm bartending. I met her at Leela's, and I'm a social person. I like bartending a lot. I like people, and I just wanted, I got free time for sure. That I know about, and just wanted to put myself out there, and I think like the best way for me to volunteer would be to hang out and have some fun. I like people, and I like making connections, and it's just kind of was meant to be.
I think I know that you make a good cocktail.
You do. That's where I recognize it from.
I think I do know that.
There it is.
And you get used to maybe, talking to people and hearing their stories. But one of the things that Sara is telling us is something that's kind of hard for me to internalize a little. I'm curious about you. It's easy to convince yourself you have no time for anything else in your life. And I think for a lot of people, it's probably true. I'm not saying this to judge. It's just that when you actually kind of like diagram it out, you go, okay, maybe I could do like an hour a week. Could I do that? So, what was like the way that you thought about your own time and your own schedule?
Well, it was honestly, it's kind of important for me to do something other than just like that's kind of in a volunteer. That I want to be a part of the community more, and I'm a bartender, and I kind of have my hobbies and whatnot, but I also spend a lot of time doing I don't even know what, honestly.
We all do,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. And it's it's easy peasy. It could take a couple hours every other week. It doesn't change anything at all. And just those couple hours less on Instagram.
So, were you nervous signing up to do this at all?
To the Compeer?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
No.
And when did you meet Dan?
So they gave me some options. They tell me about some people, and I mean, it was immediately I knew Daniel. They said he's into music, he likes history, he sings piano. I was like, oh, that's my guy. I'm hanging out with that guy. And it was, right off the bat, we met each other over at where Compeer is, and immediately clicked. It was no time at all.
And from your perspective, just give us a sense of what the weekly commitment and activity kind of looks like now.
We're going out and having fun too. So that's another thing is, it's not like we're doing any work. We're going and having fun. So we went to the Strong Museum recently. We go out to get a bite to eat. We're both big fan of Bill Grace. Dan's a showman here, so he's in Hochstein, and I go and watch some of his concerts. He has a really nice theme recently of traveling was one of his concerts. So, we're going out and having fun.
And how much per week?
How many, how much time?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 4 hours a month, so we do generally about 2 hours every other week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so, Dan Ofsowitz, you've met a number of people in this program over the years. How's Adam? Is he like bottom of the barrel, or is he pretty good?
Well, I won't say anybody at Compeer is bad.
No!
I've had a ton of people who I have worked with. The very first gentleman who I worked with was exceptionally good. He is long since gone. He got me more involved in the community. We were quite active with Compeer on TV, on the radio, etc. And then I had a couple of people who were kind of like fill-ins so I have waited quite a while, but when they found Adam for me, they found the top of the barrel. People say on a 1 to 10 scale. Well, I would say double plus 10.
Oh man.
It's awesome.
And you had Jim. You were talking about Jim, your first match, right?
Yes.
How long were you guys matched for?
Jim and I were matched for
15?
Forever.
15 years or something like that?
At least 14, 15 years together. And we went to Temple together. We went. He'd pick me up at work. We'd go do things. So, yes, Jim was the very first person to walk into my life and kind of turn an empty life around.
Oh, wow.
You had some big shoes to fill, Adam. Good job.
Honestly,
Top rating.
But Adam is quite well. He's punctual. He's on time. He makes sure when he parks, I can get out of the car safely or up onto the curve if necessary. He makes sure everything is just safe, sound in there.
Well,
Thank you, Danny.
and it is a great story, and I take Adam's point. It doesn't feel like work. He's not going to the mine here. He's hanging out with a pretty cool guy, developing a real relationship. Adam, how long do you think you're going to do it for the foreseeable future, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, Danny and I are having fun, so we're buddies now.
Yeah, it's great. Dan, can I just ask you a little bit? Having now done this for a number of years and building these real relationships, there's a lot of people who haven't gotten in touch with Compeer who maybe would benefit. and are truly feeling lonely, are truly feeling isolated. How often do you feel like you are lonely? Does that ever happen? Do you ever feel isolated?
Most of the time I am pretty good with what goes on. There are times where I feel kind of lonely, kind of like an outcast. Do I really fit in? But then I remember some of the people with whom I work with as a volunteer and know that there are at least one gentleman whose life is quite lonely. I meet with him once or twice a month. I've actually got 3 people with whom I work, 2 with whom I do more physical stuff, 1 gentleman, quite nice, where we are just phone buddies, and that makes it work too, as long as you're there for the other person.
Well, I think it's a great story. And I just, there are a lot of people hearing Adam who had to take some time and decided in November, you're going to do this. So for people who are looking at their own calendars going, I don't know if I've got the hour a week or 2 hours every other week, what do you tell them?
I mean, I think we all have that extra hour a week for sure. No problem at all. There's so many passive things that we're doing all the time that you can literally give up. Just, it's we all have it. There's something, whether it is scrolling or, just dawdling or whatever. Yeah.
What are you guys doing next, Adam and Dan? Do you know?
Our next outing/adventure, if Mother Nature holds up with the weather, will be Saturday at the Farmers Market, Public Market. We'll go walking around. We'll look at things. We'll probably chow down there. We have gone to Strong Museum. We're going to go walking around Genesee Valley Park. We'll go walking around the zoo, etc.
Oh, that's great.
So, like I say to a coworker at work, never a dull moment, never a dull day.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, look, don't hold me to it. I think your forecast for Saturday is pretty good. I think it's starting to get much better this weekend. And I also wanted to ask Adam, if you were the type of person growing up, some people are really tight with all their family. Some people get really tight with grandparents. Were you that type? I mean, were you the outgoing type who kind of built those relationships across generations sometimes?
You mean like as a kid?
Yeah.
As a kid, it was a very tight family. We were a very loving family. Mm-hmm. But I was a shy kid. I kind of got out of my shell more around the high school time period and became much more outgoing. And I think as in my bartending career made me even more outgoing of a person for sure.
It sounds cliche to ask, but I want to ask you what you've learned from this experience so far since November.
What I've learned from this experience? Yeah. I think it's just rewarding to put yourself out there and be a part of the community. I think it's necessary for all of us to do. We're, as people, we're, a community. So it's just, part of life.
I do wonder if, as a bartender, you actually kind of you're using the muscle of just conversation and interaction more. I bring this up because human beings in general are a little more insular with the phones. Mm-hmm. We are spending less time together. Coaching kids in youth sports, I have to tell them, make eye contact when you go through the handshake line. Look people in the eye. Yeah. There are sometimes kids, in the dugout, get off the phone. We are a little more... We're struggling, and especially since the pandemic. I mean, I do think, to Sarah's earlier point, we're quote unquote back to normal 5 years later, but we're kind of in the uncanny valley. Is this normal kind of feeling? And how do you, sort of notice, is there something you've noticed about social skills pre and post pandemic as a bartender? Are people still pretty social, pretty active? Are they on their phones a lot at the bar?
Yeah, the phone is a huge thing. I mean, I started to keep bringing it back to that, but I think that because we're all becoming more in tune with the phone, we also have our online lives that I think is becoming a little bit more hard to socialize, or it's almost a bigger learning curve, especially for younger generation. But when I'm at the bar, honestly, people who are kind of going out are social people for the most part. And yeah, definitely a lot of phone, a lot of, any sort of like quiet moment. Someone's on their phone. It's an easy one. I do it all the time if I'm waiting or whatever. So I see that
That's
a lot.
different than being in a group of people sitting at a bar and you're still on your phone for an hour. Like, that's what I don't get. But and I'm not saying everybody does it. But to me, it's like this: you go to a concert and you're shooting it with your phone, so you can remember later the experience that you will not actually have right now.
No, I'm against that.
Anyway. Okay, all of this relates to the Compeer's campaign, which is why we're here today. When they reached out, we thought this is a really, really good fit. And in a moment, we're going to talk to Stefan and we're going to talk to Jerry about, not only their status as veterans, but the Veteran and Family Program and, how veterans especially can feel isolated and lonely. But if you're listening to the conversation, particularly between Adam and Dan, and you're thinking you might want to do this, Sara, how do people do it?
Go to CompeerRochester.org is the easiest way. We have our click to volunteer pretty front and center. We also have some outdoor advertising. So you might see a QR code around the community for Scroll Less, Connect More. Links you right to our website to do a short form inquiry, and then one of our coordinators get in touch with you to set up the rest of the process. It's very professionally led, so if you feel like you're not really sure what it's about, but you just want to learn a little bit more, maybe go through even some of the steps of the process and see what it's about, we make it very easy. Everything's done one-on-one, so you don't have to come to a group orientation that only happens once every 2 months or anything like that. We onboard in real time because we need people that quickly, right?
How many volunteers could you take tomorrow if you had them?
We could take, we need about 100 to meet the demands of the waiting list. Now, I would love to get 100 inquiries. Our coordinators could probably handle that over time. But we're looking to build our, what we call caseloads, back up since those pre-pandemic days, and everybody's ready. So our staff are more than ready to welcome you into this program and get you through the process.
Sara, when Dr. Vivek Murthy, the former U.S. Surgeon General, came out and actually declared it a loneliness epidemic, did you think that was too strong, or did you think, no, that's correct?
No, I think that's correct. And I think that it's been an issue for a long time, but just brought to light through the pandemic when people maybe didn't have their traditional channels to have those outlets, like to your point about even just going out and stopping at a bar. I mean, how many people may have been doing that, pre-pandemic, just like that is my social, I'm going to get, some, I might not even know
my third place,
here,
right? Like we got to have third places.
Yep. And so once that's eliminated, where are we going? Well, we're just going to stay home and we're knocking it a lot, but I think there is connection that happens through social media. There is connection that happens on your phone. You're texting somebody. We have a texting phone buddies program, so we know that there is merit to connecting through. There's some merit to connecting if you can't be in person. Some people can't do in-person work, so that to that effect, it's not all bad.
I mean, that's the caveat, and we should give the caveat because some people really need that kind of digital connection, and some people really find community that way.
Yes, and some people were probably saved massively the fact that was available during the pandemic.
So acknowledge that, absolutely, while also acknowledging that for most of us, the phone is a time suck, and it is sometimes a relationship deteriorator. And during the pandemic, went back and watched. Remember those pandemic days? Watched all of Cheers, all the way through, all of Cheers. And it was amazing to watch a 1980s sitcom based in a bar where everyone is just talking all the time. One of the regular characters walk in and say, "Hey, everybody." And everybody turns and they're like, "Oh, it's Frasier. Oh, it's Cliff." And they've got something to say and everyone listens. And it was like, well, that's kind of their social network. But they did it in person. And they built relationships with people in person. And they actually knew who those people were. They weren't like some faceless form online. And it's just so different now. It is that show more than any other I watch and go, the world is not that way anymore. I mean, it's just,
no.
And we need the third places. I mean, Adam probably sees it as a bartender. You need a third place that feels like home, work, and where else? What is a normal place where people might know me, where I might know them? I can feel comfortable. I can spend time. Maybe I'm reading a book there, but maybe I'm meeting people for coffee or a beer or a cocktail. Third places matter, don't they?
It's very important. I think they're necessary
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah, just work and home. That's you need a third place.
Dan, what's your happiest place that's not home?
Good question. I think my happiest place that's not considered home, I would say either Compeer or Hochstein, where I go to school. I have been Hochstein student for 20 years plus.
It's great. No, that's wonderful. That feels like home.
I wish sometimes I could be a little bit happier at work, but like the old saying, you don't like everybody. Not everybody likes you.
Just read my email, man. I can tell you that's exactly right. But I'm glad that you feel at home at Hochstein, and I'm glad that you feel at home at Compeer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those are important and powerful pulls for you. Adam, what's the third place for you? I mean, when you're not working and when you're not at home, where are you?
Oh, out and about for sure. I actually just moved into Irondequoit. Durandisman Park is over there. I absolutely love Durandisman Park. Taking the bike out, honestly. Going out to neighborhood bar up at Shamrock Jack's is awesome, just for a social hour.
That's great. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take our only break, and we're going to talk to Stefan and Jerry on the other side of this about the perspective on working with veterans and what veteran and family needs there are. Compeer Rochester is going to share with us, so we'll share with you in our show notes, information so you can get hooked up with this kind of a program if you want to get involved. It is Scroll Less, Connect More. They could take another 100 volunteers tomorrow if you wanted to do it. And what you're hearing from Adam is, it's Dan says the same thing. Absolutely worth it. Probably got more time than you think to do it if you want to sit down and pencil it out. We'll come right back and continue the conversation next.
Support for your public radio station comes from our members and from Mary Cariola Center, proud supporter of Connections with Evan Dawson, believing an informed and engaged community is a connected one. marycariola.org.
This is Connections. I'm Evan Dawson. So, in the seat that Sara Passamonte held, that's the CEO of Compeer Rochester. Well, Jerry is not being promoted to CEO. He's just taken her seat for the moment here. He's a youth engagement specialist at Compeer Rochester and a veteran himself. Pull that microphone real close to you, Jerry. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, Jerry and Stefan, both veterans. Jerry, tell us a little bit about the terms of your service as a veteran. 87 to 91 it was?
1987 to 1981, I was active duty from 87 to 90. I was stationed in Germany as a military police officer. I got out of active duty, went National Guard, out of a unit out of Buffalo, 206th MP Company. We got activated for the Gulf War.
My dad was an MP.
Okay.
Before your time. Appreciate your service. Thank you for that. And Stefan Hurd, your service 2010 to 2018, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about your service.
I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia during Iraqi freedom. Did 3 deployments. Decommissioned the USS Enterprise in 2013. After my first 2 deployments, got stationed on the USS George H.W. Bush, which are both aircraft carriers. Left Virginia after my 3rd deployment. I got stationed in Southern Maryland, really small. Was there until 2018. So then I got out. I was aviation bosun's mate, launching and recovering equipment. So I launched and recovered aircraft on aircraft carriers and at the test site in Maryland. There you go.
Very good. Well, thank you for your service as well. And it's great to have both of you guys here because your perspectives, you didn't serve at the same time. You're probably not exactly the same age, but you can speak to what it is like to understand what veterans are going through. So let me start with you, Jerry, on this aspect here. We read a lot about isolation among veterans. Mm-hmm. You're working for Compeer. I mean, you're very well versed in that idea. How are you doing personally before we get into the work that you do?
I'm doing great.
You're doing great.
Doing great.
Okay. And do you feel, as a veteran, do you know fellow veterans who are not doing great?
Yes, I do. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, a former gentleman I served with reached out to me. A lot of us stay in contact. And he lives out in the Midwest. I believe he's in southern Indiana. He reached out. He goes, I got a buddy. Then he goes, he's having a tough go of it. He goes, he just needs someone to talk to. And he goes, by any chance, he goes, do you know where Hilton, New York is? And I'm like, yeah, I live in Hamlin. I go, I'm the next town over.
Right next door.
So we connected.
Wow.
And he was having a rough go, but he's doing great now. As they say, life took over for him. And there were, you know, the stressors of life, and he didn't have a lot of family, a lot of close family, and we were able to make a connection. And I actually got him to join my VFW out in Hamlin, and he's made some friends there and some connections there.
What do you think he needed most?
Just the connection of other people who experienced some of the same experiences he had. Because there's things as a veteran, and Stefan can probably attest to this too, there's things that people who have never served don't understand.
Give me one.
Just the isolation, being away from family. You know, when I left in '87, I got to come home right after, during the middle of my training because of the holidays and the base closed down. And then after I went back, I didn't come home again until summer of '89. So I was away from my family for almost 2 years.
What is going home like when you've been away that long?
It's weird because everyone's lives have all been going, and you're still from when you first left.
And you've missed some stuff.
Because I left right after high school graduation. You know, when my friends went to college or, you know, started their careers, and just, you know, their life kept going, and mine, not that my life didn't keep going, but my life here in Rochester got hit pause.
How are you able to, by 90, 91, how are you able to get back in a rhythm of life then?
Luckily I have a great group of friends. I have a group of friends that I've been friends with since 4th grade. We all still get together, you know, here and there, of course, with family and, you know, life. We don't see each other as much as we'd like to, but
They helped with your transition back?
And family. I have a very close-knit family.
That's good.
We moved here from Detroit when I was 9, and, you know, because my dad worked for Kodak. We moved here, and my whole extended family's still back in Michigan. So we had each other, and then we had to form our own family here.
But that was at a time when, so we're going to get Stefan's story in a second. Stefan finishes in 2018 when the world is fully digital and everybody and every kid's got a phone. You came back from service 90-91, and that was a very different time. And I wonder what the dynamic feels like when you work with veterans now, because I appreciate the point that Sara was making earlier. We should always remember there are certain tools, digital tools, that are helpful, sometimes lifesavers for people who need them. But sometimes you can be convinced that a phone, a social media scroll is community, and it might not be real community. It might not be what you need. And I wonder if you think on balance, it would have been easier to come back in a world where we didn't ever have a phone in their pocket and social media versus now.
My personal opinion?
Yeah, go ahead.
The cell phone is the greatest and the worst invention ever.
Yeah.
It's, I watch, my youngest is 17. Well, will be 17.
Yep.
And I watch her and her friends when she's visiting with her friends. They're sitting 5 feet from each other and they're texting each other. It's like, put your phones down and talk to each other.
What do they say when Dad says that?
They look at me like I'm crazy. or my one daughter, when she first started a new job, when she was 18, she came home from work all upset. I'm like, what's wrong with you? She goes, we're not allowed to have our phones at work. I'm like, okay, welcome to adulthood. And then as time progressed, she moved up the ladder. She became an assistant manager, and she used to come, whenever I'd see her, all she would do is complain about all the employees being on their phones all the time.
Well,
and I'm like, so you see the other
say,
side of it.
you see.
So
in general, it can help, but it can, for veterans, you fear it can also further isolate them.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have that immediate connection if you're able to. If you can't get out. So, like I said, positive and negative.
Stefan, how are you doing these days?
I'm doing all right. I can't complain.
Do you have colleagues that you surf with who are not doing all right?
Yeah. I have a couple. We talk. I have a buddy that he doesn't stay. He stays maybe like a few hours away from here, Connecticut. Him and I talk at least weekly. He's in a very high stress situation with not necessarily his job, but with the town that he serves in, because he's a councilman out there. So it's between me and another guy that we actually keep in touch. Like we'll get on a 3-way call and just talk to each other, make each other laugh, have a good time. To get us out of that, if we are in that rut, right? To get us out of that rut, to bring us back to reality. We address whatever problems that we have, talk about it, and then move on from it, right? Figure out a solution, move on.
So similar to what Jerry talked about, your friend needs to be able to have that person-to-person connection at some point. Yeah?
Yeah. And it's mainly like a trust thing as well, right? Because not everybody just goes to tell everyone's business, right? It's, I'm not gonna go tell the next guy that I just meet out on the street everything about me. I have to have that trust with you, right? And that's where a lot of that falls back on, where we actually trust each other. We've gone into other countries together. We've watched each other's back while we were deployed. Things like that.
So what do you think the non-veteran public doesn't fully understand about what veterans go through especially when they return to civilian life?
So it's similar to what Jerry said, right? You leave, you go on deployment, you're gone for, 7 months to a year, maybe longer, right? There's, depending on what's going on over there. You come back, everything's different. Your kids are older, they're bigger. You've missed out on a lot: birthdays, school, dances, pictures, holidays, things along those lines. Whereas if on the civilian side of things, you have that 9 to 5, that comfortability to go home at the end of the day, right? You can pull up in your driveway, go inside to see your family, hug your family each and every day. Whereas for us, it's either an email, a piece of mail, or a phone call, right? And it's, and if anything's too bad going on, right, you don't even get to have that connection with the outside world. It's just, you have to hold each other, hold each other close, like you would your siblings. So that's what makes another really tight connection, because you go through the thick of it with one another, and then that's, you build that relationship with one another.
So I want you both to tell me about what you do at Compeer. I'll start with you, Stefan. Tell me about what you do.
I'm a youth, family, peer, and veteran peer.
So that means what? Take us through a little bit of what you do.
I work with the youth. I also work with families. And I also, from the veteran peer side of things, it's veteran supported recovery peer. I help veterans navigate the veteran affair system, help them find resources, the same as it is with families and youth. Help them find a system with finding resources, showing them that, hey, it's okay, we make mistakes, right? And that's where a lot of parents, veterans, and youth, they're so afraid of being judged by their peers or other people that they're afraid of making the mistake. So finding them to help them, just giving them that, being their cheerleader in a sense, right? Giving them that push, like, hey, I'm here with you. You're not by yourself, right? We can talk it through. We can practice it. And when it's game time, it's time to lock in. Let's get it done, right? So that's essentially what it is that I do it.
How much more credibility do you have because you served?
I don't really throw that out there.
No, that's interesting.
I don't throw that out there. No, I don't. Unless someone asks, or if I'm wearing my polo or my hoodie or my vest, nobody really knows that I served. I just,
But you feel like you can relate, especially to the veterans you serve, better?
Best of both. I can say it's both, because a lot of the families and youth that I've served, right, I've grew up and, growing up as a middle child, right? The middle childs always have it the worst. So I grew up as a middle child. So, I can relate to, some of the teenagers and what they may struggle with, or even the kids. I can understand where they come from. And, growing up in a family where my mom had to have 2 jobs, and there was 7 of us getting raised together. And mind you, I was raised in Florida, so I can relate to the families and how a struggle may look, and how it may be hard for them to pursue certain things because they may have to work 2 jobs. A single parent household where the mom's working 2 jobs and the kid is like, well, I don't get enough attention. Now the kid's out doing something crazy. And as far as veterans, I can understand, I can sympathize with them because I can understand what it feels like to be alone. So,
Well, so let me ask Jerry Grimshaw about the work that you do. Describe what you do for Compeer.
I'm a youth engagement specialist, so I work with some young kids. And then I'm also in the program, the Vets Driving Vets. So driving veterans to appointments, take them shopping, just a bunch of different stuff. Met some amazing veterans. And, you get to hear their stories. And a lot of our vets are Vietnam era.
yeah.
But there are some that are younger than me. I'm mid 70s, mid 50s, and we do have some vets that are younger than I am, but they're the stories you hear. But then working with the kids, there's just when you see, we do a program on Wednesday nights, youth probation, and seeing these kids just be able to be kids, because they're
How old, Jerry?
the youth probation
Usually
between 12
between
to
like
16,
12 to 17.
12 to 17.
Yeah.
And we try to do activities with them that they normally wouldn't do. Last year before Halloween, we painted pumpkins. And these kids probably have never done it, and they were in heaven. You get to see them just like one young lady I talked to, and she goes, I get to come here and be a kid. She goes, I get to turn it off. I don't have to be who I am on the streets.
Yeah.
They just come there and they're allowed to be a kid.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's a powerful point. You're nodding over there. You want to add to, what do you hear from the kids that you serve about what they're getting out of this experience?
So adding on to what Jerry was saying about the youth probation kids is, a lot of them are unfortunately like just brought up in a certain environment where they have to be hard body all the time, where they have to be tough, and they can't, whenever, like, even if it's not the youth probation kids, when I'm working with my youth that live in that environment, right, I pull them out of that, show them that it's something different, right, and they get to enjoy themselves, take them to the clubhouse, take them to Swillburger, right, that's a staple out here. You have the YMCAs where, that we take them to, they go out and play basketball, right, and it's just like they come out when we're done with whatever activity we're doing, the smile and the, man, when can we hang out again, and da 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 da. Now you start to see a change in this kid's lifestyle where maybe in school they were having a hard time, right? They weren't making the best of grades. Well, now the teachers are telling the parents like, hey, such and such is doing such an amazing job. The grades are coming up. I don't know what's going on, but it's really working. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like a rewarding feeling for us as all of us, where the little things make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to talk to them on the phone, right? Parents feel comfortable, and that's another thing with technology, right? The parents feel comfortable enough for them to have the one-on-one conversations with us, and so they'll call if they're going through a hard time, and you give them coping mechanisms whenever they may have an anxiety attack, whenever they may be going through depression, whenever they may just struggle just with anything, just calling, just being the ears that they that they need to be heard from.
So let me ask both of you an extension of that point. These are 12 to 17-year-olds, right?
Yeah, sometimes younger.
And so they go through anxiety attacks. They've had often hard lives. And they will call you guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they need to be able to talk to someone that they trust.
Absolutely.
What's going on that they can't get that from peers or people around them?
So when it comes to being able to call us, maybe mom or dad is busy at work. So the next best person they'll call is us. right? We build that bond, we build that relationship, that rapport to where the parents are receptive to their kids talking to us one-on-one, or, if they're going through a bad enough time, sometimes we might just drop what we're doing and just go over there and, get the kid out of the house. Maybe parents don't have a vehicle to get the kid out of the house. It's multiple things that can harbor that child from being stuck. Maybe it's they live in a bad neighborhood and they're just going through anxiety. They seen something walking home from school or getting off the bus and they just want to get away and they can't, right? They can't rely on public transportation because they don't trust it. They don't rely on Uber because they're young and, the parents don't trust everybody with their kid, right? So the next person they're going to call is they're going to call their care team, essentially, and the care team that they actually trust, and they have a bond with the people that they see every week, sometimes multiple times out of the week, right? It's just having that relationship and showing them that, hey, you have somebody that you can talk to.
Jerry, do you feel the weight of responsibility that they need somebody and it may not be around them in their orbit, so they're calling you?
A little bit. I'm newer to the program. I've only been with Compeer since the end of September last year. And, so Stefan definitely has more experience with the life I had prior to joining Compeer. Mm-hmm. It's night and day. I was on the other end. I worked law enforcement for 30 years. But Compeer has opened my eyes to a lot of new things. But these kids, like my wife even said it. She goes, I see something different in you when you've worked with these kids. One of the young children I work with is, she's being a challenge, but her mom she's young enough to where she doesn't have her own phone. So all communication goes through her mom, but she'll text me from her mom's phone. Hi, it's me. Mm-hmm. When am I seeing you again?
But that's awesome.
And same with the little boy, the older boy I work with, he's doing great. And so now it's more him and I go to the Y, shoot the baskets, and work on what he needs to work on. Mm-hmm. But I'm having so much fulfillment from it. And it's opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I would say I looked at side-eyed for 30 years.
In law enforcement?
Yeah. Because unfortunately you get a certain perspective working in that, and you get soured against certain things.
And you're often in law enforcement, correct me if I'm wrong, you're seeing people on maybe their worst day.
I definitely was, because I worked in the jail for 30 years.
Okay. And so, but you may not always have the backstory on how somebody got to where they're
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was lucky with how I grew up and stuff. I was a little open-minded compared to some other people. And I used to always tell the new deputies when I trained them, you're no better than them. You're no better than the people we watch.
Sure.
Because we've all done something in our life that could have ended up in one of those cells. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but this Compeer, I've fallen in love with it. I said I was never going to work again. And then I was driving my wife nuts at home, and she goes, you need to find a job. And I found Vets Driving Vets, and I've gone from there.
Really, really great stories. It's been a very, very powerful hour here. Stefan, how long have you been with Compeer, by the way?
2.5 years.
Okay. You going to stay there?
Yeah.
You found your fit?
Yeah. I was the same as Jerry. When I originally applied for Compeer, it was for Vets Driving Vets. Told a little bit about myself and got a call back before I even made it to my car. Hey, we might have another position for you. All right, cool. All right, let's set up another interview. When? Next week. All right. Go in there, do the interview, and that's I got hired as a youth and family engagement specialist. And yeah.
Well, earlier this hour, we heard Adam and Dan's awesome story. You heard Sara Passamonte, the CEO of Compeer Rochester, say that they need volunteers. And I want to close by asking Stefan, in your 2.5 years there, you're obviously working with kids who really need you, adults who really need you.
Yeah.
And, it's easy for us all at times to be judgmental of others. What have you learned in 2.5 years about judgment? What would you want to leave with our audience?
you can't really pass judgment on other people despite of what they may be going through or what they may have going on at that time. I'm a non-judgmental person by all means, right? I don't judge anybody based on their situation, based on their lifestyle. I just hope that whoever is going through whatever finds the best way to get through that whatever. So if there are people that are judging, I don't. It's a waste. Don't waste your energy worrying about being judged. Allow those people waste their energy to try to judge you. Yeah.
That's not to say, by the way, that there's freedom from consequences.
Oh, yeah.
There's a difference between consequences and judgment. And judgment, is in a separate category. And what you all have done this hour is to remind us that everyone's got a story, everyone's got something, everyone needs something sometime, and sometimes what you need might be something like Compeer. So we'll have a link on our show notes if people want to either get involved, they want to learn more about the Scroll Less, Connect More campaign that's going on. If you want to volunteer, if you want to ask questions about volunteering and tell Sara Passamonte you're not ready yet, but someday she's going to tell you you're ready. And then you're going to be like, well, Adam Bellave, when you're ready. And I want to thank all of our guests for being here. Sara, thank you. She's over in the chair here because we've had a full studio. Adam Bellave, Dan Ofsowitz, thanks for telling your story, guys.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Great being here, guys. Thank you very much. And thank you, Stefan Hurd and Jerry Grimshaw, for telling your stories as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Great having you. From all of us at Connections, thanks for finding us. Thanks for being with us on the public square here. And we are back with you tomorrow on member-supported public media.
This program is a production of WXXI Public Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of this station, its staff, management, or underwriters. The broadcast is meant for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or use in another medium without expressed written consent of WXXI is strictly prohibited. Connections with Evan Dawson is available as a podcast. Just click on the Connections link at WXXInews.org.